Hey guys, how you doing? All right, now, recently we've been exploring multiplication, and we're talking multiplication of 3-digit by 2-digit numbers here in 5th grade now. So let's explore two different ways that we can solve this problem. First, the problem, 537 times 14. And I know you're thinking, oh my God, that's such a huge number. How can I do this? Well, with just a basic understanding of your math facts, you can totally break this down because at the end of the day, we're doing two things. We're multiplying by 4 and we're multiplying by 1. And on top of that, at the end, we're just going to add together the answers that we get. So let's start. First, I'm going to start here on the bottom right-hand corner. And I'm saying the bottom right-hand corner and not the ones place because later, when we start exploring decimals and multiplication, we're not always going to start in the ones place. We're going to start on whichever place value is the furthest to the right. So thinking tenths, hundredths, thousandths, depending on where we are. Anyway, let's start here with our 4. So I'm going to do 4 times 7. And 4 times 7 is 28. I'm going to put down my 8, and I'm going to regroup my 2. Then I'm going to go over and do 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus the 2 tens that I have up there is going to give me 14. Put down my 4. I'm going to regroup my 1 again. Now I'm going to do 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 plus the 1 I've got up there gives me this. So now I know 537 times 4 is 2,148. Now I'm going to start multiplying in my tens. And if I'm going to start multiplying in my tens, my answer should also begin in my tens. So I'm going to put a 0 in the ones place. So this way I know that my answer is really representative of the tens. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 5 is 5. And so now I know that this one really represents 110. So 110 times 537 equals 5,370. Finally, I'm going to go and I'm going to add these up. 8 plus 0 is 8. 4 plus 7 is 11. Regroup my 1. 1 plus 1 plus 3 is 5. And 2 plus 5 is 7. Now, 7,518. You're asking yourself, well, how do you know that's right? Well, I'm going to check if it's right by solving the problem the second way using partial products. To do this, I'm going to decompose my numbers. That means break them down into place value. And I could do this simply by saying the number. So my first number is 537. So I'm going to break that apart into 530 and 7. 537. Done. I'm going to take my second number, 14, and I'm going to break that down into tens and ones. 14 is 110 and 4 ones. So I'm going to write 110 and 4 ones. And to help me with this partial product problem, I'm going to draw an area model. And now I'm going to multiply. So what I'm going to do for my multiplication first is I'm going to take 500 times 10. 500 times 10, you do 5, and you go times 1, and that's going to be a 5. And then I'm looking at 1, 2, 3 zeros, and I have that. And I already know that because 500 times 10 does equal 5,000. Next, I'm going to take 30 and multiply it by 10 for in here. And I know 3 times 1 is going to be 3. And I'll take my 2 zeros and put them in there. And I know 30 times 10 is 300. Finally, I'll take my 7 and multiply it by 10. And that equals 70. Next, I'm going to hop down here. And I'm going to have 500 times 4. I know 5 times 4 is 20. And then I can simply just add in my other 2 zeros. And I know 500 times 4 is 2,000. Here, I'm going to take 30 times 4. I know 3 times 4 is 12. Put my 0 back in. And that's 30 times 4 is 120. And finally, 7 times 4 is 28. Last thing I'm going to do, add all these numbers up. And I usually line them up least to greatest. So I have 5,000, 2,000, 300, oh my goodness, 300, 120, 70, and 28. And I meant to say greatest to least. I always go to least to greatest by default for some reason. Anyway, as I go down and I add these up, all my zeros, and that is 8, 272, got a 1, I'm going to regroup, got a 5, I've got a 7, and my answers match. If I wanted to check, again, to see how they match up very easily, if I want to see how I was on the right track, if I add these three numbers across, 5,000 plus 300 plus 70 equals 5,370. And if I look over here, 5,370. If I add these three numbers together, 2,000 plus 120 plus 28, that's going to equal 2,148. And I see over here 2,148. So I'll know I'm on the right track as I go. But anyway, two quick ways to solve multi-digit multiplication. Practice it, practice it, practice it. At the end of the day, knowing both, super helpful. But being proficient at one is the way to go. All right, I'll see you next time. Later.